Every time I make a new video, I try extra hard to make sure that that shelf back there with all my games on that is in view. It's basically a requirement for any YouTube channel that reviews games to have all their games displayed in the background, and I want to be taken seriously. And although I know it's not the best, I mean, it's alright, and I'm not embarrassed or anything. Please don't judge me. Having a big collection of games is a part of every gamer's life. It's the easiest way, right next to owning a big loud truck, to say, my penis is large, guys, I swear. Big game collections are incredibly impressive and make me so envious. I've always looked at rooms filled to the brim with random games nobody will ever play and thought, I want that. Game rooms are so cool and come in all shapes and sizes. Someday I hope to have my own room with all my Nintendo consoles with a tiny little corner for PlayStation, Xbox can go hang out in the closet, and then a dumpster out back for Sega. Now will this ever happen? Probably not, but I can have unrealistic dreams, damn it. So far my game collection is looking pretty dreadful, not gonna lie, but I still like it. I've played or at the very least tried every game I own, and I like having a relatively small library of games I love. And also this collection. I have some sort of connection to pretty much every game here, so I thought today why not look at the games I own and how I've gotten to this point. The good parts, the bad parts, and the rarest things that I own. Prepare to be disappointed. I started collecting games just like the average person, getting a few games here and there for my birthday and Christmas, with occasionally being able to convince my mom to buy me games at other points, and also saving my birthday and Christmas money for my own games. The majority of my N64 games were bought by my mom for me and my brother when we were kids, most of which are the big popular titles. Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Wave Race 64, these are all games I played a ton as a kid and I still love to this day. My parents also bought In the Zone 98. This game is not good, but I also have NFL Blitz 2001, and this game is amazing. The first N64 game I bought on my own was Ocarina of Time, which I bought at a garage sale when I was like 4 or 5 years old. This was my first Zelda game, and Zelda is my favorite gaming franchise, so that must mean I have some crazy attachment to this game, right? Nope, it's my least favorite 3D Zelda, and my favorite is Skyward Sword. I'm not sure I'm allowed to be considered a Zelda fan anymore. I haven't bought too many N64 games over the years, so my collection isn't looking too big, but I have some of the important games like Paper Mario, Majora's Mask, Donkey Kong 64, and Glover. My dad actually bought Glover when I was a kid and loved it, but we sold it so I had to re-buy it relatively recently. That's actually the case with a lot of games. We sold them growing up to afford new games, and there are so many I've just never bought back. Like this Pikachu Nintendo 64 was a bundle with Hey You Pikachu, but I don't own the game anymore. That's okay though, that game is fucking dog shit. I would love to grow my Nintendo 64 library, but for some reason I just buy other console games more often. I really should get on that though, because there are so many games I want to play or own. Someday I will own Wetrix and then I will die happy. Let's move on to my first handheld games and look at my original Game Boy collection and Game Boy Color collection. This is just depressing. I have obviously played a lot more Game Boy games than these, but the majority I've played on Virtual Console or... Wait. Okay, I think we're safe. Emulators. You're under arrest! Put your hands where I can see them! I've played more games than I'm willing to admit on emulators, which is why I own next to no Game Boy games, but maybe someday I will start collecting them. Probably not though. I guess let's quickly go through all of my handheld games because, spoilers, I almost exclusively played Pokemon on my handhelds. I plan on owning every game from every generation at some point, but I barely own anything else. I've got the essentials like Mario Kart, Xenoblade, and Satan, but not much else. I probably won't ever flesh out this library just because I don't play handheld games. I would much rather play a console game than handheld, so this is pretty close to the bottom of the list for my collection. And now we've hit the consoles that I truly love and care about, which you can tell with my slightly larger collections. The GameCube is the first console I can remember coming out and being in awe of how much better it seemed than the N64. The graphics blew my mind, and the controller satisfied me in more ways than one. My GameCube collection doesn't have every game, and I am missing a few of the bigger titles like Animal Crossing, but for the most part, I like what I have. I have most of the games I want, including all of the Mario sports games, but I do own Power Tennis on the Wii instead. And speaking of sports games, I have way too many of these damn things. Most of these were actually bought by my brother, but he didn't want them anymore and gave them all to me. Now they take up way too much space, and I can't even reuse the boxes for other games because they have these stupid fucking stickers. But hey, at least they make my collection look bigger, even if they are pretty much all the same game. Except NCAA football. I will never hate on it. This game is amazing. I think probably my favorite things I own on GameCube are probably Ocarina of Time Master Quest and the Zelda's Collector's Edition. Being a huge Zelda fan, these were always titles I wanted and got them fairly fairly recently for a good price. I did see a weird bundle I had never heard of before when looking for these that was Wind Waker bundled with Master Quest. I would totally buy this if it wasn't over $300 and I wasn't a cheap little bitch. Also, I can't justify buying a bundle of 2 games I already own separately. My GameCube collection isn't perfect, far from it, but I have a decent amount of the games I legitimately want and I'm happy with it. The only thing I am not happy about are these 5 player's choice games that stick out and a few games that came without artwork, so I printed off my own. My printer sucks, by the way, so please don't judge me for how crappy these look. They look decent from far away, but up close they are only passable to a blind person. Next, let's move on to the Wii, where we have both my favorite and least favorite things that I own. My least favorite is this fucking game based on the worst movie ever made. Don't question me, I got it for like $2. And my favorite thing that I own isn't even an individual game, but my collection of Wii consoles. Yes, I own 4 different colored Wiis. Why? Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to. This is the only home console that I own multiple of, not counting the Switch Lite since that's basically a handheld. The Wii was the most excited I ever was for a new console, so I think that nostalgia is what made me want all of these. It was probably a dumb decision considering I could have bought other consoles that I didn't already own, but I never claimed to be smart. My Wii collection has the essentials like Wii Sports, Mario Galaxy, Link's Crossbow Training, Donkey Kong Barrel Blast, you know, what everyone needs. Of course I have my original Skyward Sword copy that I will defend like my life depends on it and will never give away, and then also my Metroid Other M copy. Here, you can have it. I don't really have any weird or obscure titles for the Wii. I mean, I have this, which I don't even know how I got it, but it's here. I also have a launch day copy of Wii Play that I still haven't opened to this day. I've played this game, of course, just not this copy, and I've decided to keep it sealed in case it becomes worth a lot of money someday. Damn it. I definitely feel like I'm missing more games in my Wii library that I still want than GameCube, like Just Dance 2020. Not because it's a good game, just because it exists. I'm also missing Mario Party 9, some of the Sonic titles, the Kirby titles, and Donkey Kong Country Returns, just to name a few. But to make up for those, I've got Karaoke Revolution American Idol Encore, as every true gamer should. For as much as I love the Wii, my collection is not great. Maybe if I bought new games instead of extra color for consoles, it would be better. But how many people can say they own all 4 of these Wiis? Soon to be 5 when I buy a Wii Mini. I might have a problem. Time for the Wii U, and this will be quick because who owns a Wii U? Sadly, me. The good parts? 3D World, Xenoblade Chronicles X, Pikmin 3, Tropical Freeze. The bad parts? Star Fox Zero, the console itself, and Star Fox Guard's stupid fucking eggshell colored case. I know it's a tiny nitpick, but I hate how it's barely different than all the rest. I think it annoys me more than if it was a completely different color and it was a black case like Deus Ex. I also own a few games downloaded on my Wii U like Super Mario Maker and the HD Zelda games, but that's basically it. I sold a few of my Wii U games like Nintendo Land and New Super Mario Bros. U because I didn't want them anymore, but yeah, my Wii U collection is easily my most piss poor of any relatively recent Nintendo console. Is it because the console sucked? Is it because the games didn't interest me? Is it because I have standards? 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Now onto the Switch, where I love almost every game I own. Tons of Mario games, Zelda games, Xenoblade 1 and 2, the first home console mainline Pokemon game, and Mario Kart 8. Again, this is easily becoming one of my favorite libraries of games with its combination of new games and old games ported over because nobody wants to play this garbage. I only have a few problems with Switch games. 1, why the hell do the prices never drop and stay $60 forever? This is the biggest tragedy in gaming history. And 2 is just a personal gripe, but I hate myself for buying a digital copy of Smash Ultimate because I really want the case, but I feel weird buying the exact same game just to own the box art. Like, yes, I technically own 3 copies of Twilight Princess and 8 copies of NBA 2K10, but at least they're on different consoles. Do I really want to spend another $60 for a game I already own? I bought Sonic Forces for $40, so I think that tells you enough about how dumb I am. None of the games I own here are incredibly rare or anything, but I like my collection. There's maybe a few games I still really want to get, but for the most part, I'm satisfied and will just get the games as they come out. Except Super Bomberman R. I want that for its stupid spine. Well, I guess we're down to just Xbox and PlayStation games. We'll start with Xbox since I owned an Xbox first. I have 3 original Xbox games, one of which I also own on GameCube. Yeah, my collection is pretty shit. Moving to Xbox 360, we have a few more games because this was the first non-Nintendo console I got in middle school. I of course own first-person shooters like Call of Duty and Halo. I actually did own Modern Warfare 2, but I sold it to buy Modern Warfare 3. Probably the worst decision of my life. Halo 3 holds such a close place in my heart because it was the first game my brother and I played when we got the 360, and I have so many memories playing the campaign and online. Halo 4 was okay. I've got fun games like Oblivion and Skyrim, Mass Effect, Assassin's Creed, Sonic Generations, and also games I won't speak the title of. But because the 360 had this little thing called a Kinect, I own 2 games for it. Kinect Adventure, since everyone owns it and it's one of my 2 sealed games, and then Sonic Free Riders because I love Sonic Riders, but I do not love this game. I've made a whole video on the trilogy if you really want to hear my feelings. The rest of my 360 collection is just filled with sports games, so nothing special. Xbox One is a pretty lackluster collection too, with the only real notable games being the Crash Insane trilogy, Spyro Reignited trilogy, Crash Team Racing, and GTA 5. And then guess what? More sports games! If you couldn't tell, Nintendo consoles are where I played real games, and Xbox was always just a sports and FPS game console for me. They just don't have enough games that interest me, but I'm hopeful the Xbox Series X will change my mind on that. It better be, because I don't want to spend $500 on something I don't like when I could have used that money to buy 10 more Wiis. Alright, we've reached the final part of my collection with PlayStation, so let's start with everything before the PS4. Moving on. This is easily my smallest collection for one of the big 3 game companies, but that's just because I never owned a PlayStation console until the PS4, and I only bought it so I could play the Final Fantasy VII Remake. But I started to get intrigued and decided to try out some other PlayStation games I had heard great things about. Persona 5 and Horizon Zero Dawn were my first games, and I still haven't beaten Horizon, but they're both tons of fun. Shadow of the Colossus is phenomenal, Dark Souls 3 is great, and Fallout 4 is okay. Ratchet & Clank was always a game I wanted to try out, and this was the perfect time to, and I am so glad I did. I had played Okami on the Wii years ago, but never owned it, so with there now being an HD version out, I had to pick it up. I wanted to get it on Switch, but a physical copy was like $50 at the time, and this PS4 copy was $10, so it was an obvious choice. I'm obviously missing a ton of great games for PS4 and Xbox, but sorry. Being a bald guy beating up gods doesn't interest me when I could go play Kirby. Wait, maybe next generation I'll flesh out their libraries though. Probably more so PS5 than Series X because I'm not sure I want to pay that much for both of them. I'd much rather have exclusives and good games than a more powerful console. Do I look like someone who cares about power? My game collection is far from perfect, but I still like it and have fond memories of every game here. But we have reached the final piece of my collection, the thing that puts the cherry on top, my most prized possession. I bought a Wii Mini.